There's a new OEM update and it brings lots of new changes and 2 brand new bikes. So in today's video we are going to be checking out the changes and we are going to be trying the brand new bikes, but we're going to leave that for later. And for now we're just going to try out this Yamaha. And I was riding, so basically they've done a lot of new changes and most of them are in tuning. So they've actually added a lot of new things, and engine mapping is one of the biggest ones. So they actually basically flattened out all the bikes, so they're all at the same level of performance. They all go like the same horsepower, basically they're all like at the same power. So they've kind of leveled out the bikes. They've buffed the slower ones like the Suzuki and whatnot, and I don't know if they kind of slowed down any of the bikes, but they've definitely buffed some of the really slow ones. So it's all kind of at the same level. And what they did with engine mapping is they actually made it so there's a normal and then there's a race mode, which I think is pretty cool. I haven't driven on this map in a while, so I'm not going to do that great on this track, but I think it's pretty cool that they actually now have, instead of like the different years for engine mapping, the different years of the bike, they actually have race and normal mode. And I think it's a bit weird, you know, coming from different years to go on to that, but I do like it way better. And I was riding this bike in normal mode before and I didn't realize it, and now we've switched to race mode and it definitely has more power. The only thing is, if you are changing your tuning setup, then you will have to mess with it a little bit, because if you're using one of your previous presets for tuning, it'll actually kind of mess it up, or it might mess it up. So with me, I tried to put my old YZF tuning on this bike, but what actually happened was the first gear, like every single gear was basically felt like first gear. Every single gear had the same ratio as first gear. So it was a big glitch, so you're either gonna have to recreate the same one or make a new one or whatever. And another big thing in tuning is they've actually added the ability to tune each individual gear, which is really crazy. So we're here in the tuning, and actually if you go over to drivetrain, everything else seems to be the same except for drivetrain and mapping. So if you go into drivetrain, you of course still got the front and rear sprocket like normal, which changes, you know, all the different ratios, but now you actually have the ability to change these gears separately. So you can turn this one up or down, and you can turn any of them, you can change any of them. So you can really go specific in the way that the power is being delivered on the bike, and I think this is gonna be great, especially for Supercross. So there's probably gonna be a lot of whole new like ways of tuning your bike coming out, and a whole new meta. So there's also, of course, if you go into engine, there's mapping, and instead of having like 2020, 2021, 2023, all those different things, they actually have standard and they got race mode. So I don't know really what the difference is. I'm assuming the race just has more power. I don't know if there's any other changes, but that is a big thing. So I'm gonna just do a couple laps here on the YZ and talk about more things that they've added, and then we're going to try out the 2 new bikes in this game, which are actually the Beta and the Triumph. So I'm not sure, I know they got the 450 Beta and Triumph, I'm not sure about the other bikes, but they do have a Beta and Triumph now, which is pretty cool. Another thing is the 125s, they actually don't have the new engine mapping. I'm not sure why. They have the old engine mapping, so they might come out with the new one sometime soon, but for now they do not have that. Another thing that I did notice on this bike, I don't know if it's the same on the other bikes, but this bike used to be just like normal whipping. Now it really feels like I can't get the bike around. I'm not sure why, but like if I really corner into it, or not corner but lean into it, then it can definitely whip, but it's way harder to whip it. The bike doesn't come around as easily, so it kind of feels more stable in the air, but it's harder to control in the air. And I thought that was kind of weird. I didn't expect that, because I don't think that there was anything in the notes, in the patch notes for this update, about actual in-air movement. So I don't know why it's like that, but it is a bit interesting. And the gears, I definitely need to mess around with, because I don't know if it's because they added those new gearing or if just something else is affecting it, but it's like, it's really weird. The gearing feels really slow. I don't know why. So like most of these jumps I would be able to hit on second with this bike, but I'm having to hit them in third, which I think that it's actually a good thing, because basically when I'm in second, I can, you know, take corners and then I have to shift up to third to hit the jumps, whereas normally I could just keep it in second. So you actually kind of have to shift more with the bikes, which I think is really going to bring out the more skillful players, and I just like it a bit better. It feels more fun and less boring to ride when you have to shift down through the corners and stuff, which, yeah, so you kind of have to shift the gears a bit more than you normally would with the old ones. So I did think that that's a bit weird. Now let's go try out the Beta 450 and see what that thing's like. I've heard that that thing's really good, so we're just gonna go try that thing out. All right, so now that we're on the beta, I did want to say something. This game was actually really glitchy when I first loaded in, and I don't know if that's because of the new bikes or if it's something else, but normally I'm running about 120 to 140 FPS in this game, and it was actually running at about 60. So, and in fact, it was running at like 45, but then I turned off my shaders and it's a bit better now, but still it's really glitchy and I'm not sure why that is, so I'll have to mess around with that later. But yeah, we're here on the beta and this thing's pretty easy to ride, I ain't gonna lie. Like, I'm riding it pretty good right now, and cornering, I mean, it's smooth. It's very, very smooth in the corners. So we're just gonna rip around, see how it does on the bumps and jumps and whatnot, but so far it's very smooth. It does look pretty cool. It's kind of got the clear gas tank like the Honda does, the CRF. It's pretty similar looking to the CRF because it's got red panels and that tank that looks like that, but it's definitely got a sharper front fender and whatnot. So it is a pretty cool design though. But I'm gonna just rip around this bike real quick. Already crashed. Another thing that they did change though is they actually changed the engine braking, which I did actually notice quite a bit. So with the old ones, it was really weird. The old ones, whenever you would let off the gas, the back end would kind of skid out and it would almost want to go over the bars. It was very weird. Like the back end would kind of just like tail whip outwards, and with this new one it's way smoother, so you can actually let off the throttle and you have no traction issues. So I really do like that, so good on them for changing that. So yeah, it actually does feel like you kind of got more traction throughout the corners, as when you're coming up to a corner you normally let off the gas. So with this new engine braking, it doesn't actually do, like, it doesn't make the back end slide out right as you're going into a corner. So I do really love that. But yeah, this bike, I mean, of course the power levels are flattened out now between all the bikes, but it is feeling pretty powerful. And I actually forgot to put it on race mode, so I'm gonna go do that real quick. All right, so let's try this thing out in race mode. But yeah, so far it's cornering very smoothly. I don't know, it's, the power is just, I don't know, it's very weird to me because like this bike feels power wise pretty much the same as the Yamaha, and I think that the power delivery on the bikes are still a bit different. So like the Suzuki won't have as good a power delivery as the other ones, so I believe that's what it's like reading the patch notes and reading what other people have said. So the Suzuki, which used to be a very underpowered bike, should still have a similar power curve. It should still deliver power pretty similarly, but it's actually just got more power in general, more horsepower. So yeah, they have kind of changed them a bit weirdly. Really cannot whip this thing for some reason. But yeah, so they do have the Triumph too, their Triumph 450, and they have also added a new model for the for the Fantic, I believe. So the Fantic looks a bit different. It's got a bit of a different plastics on it, and they've added, so the Fantic has a 2025 version now. So, and then these ones are both 2025, the Beta and the Triumph. But yeah, it does look a bit different now. I do like it quite a bit better. So the front end's the biggest change on that bike. If you guys are liking this video though, make sure to like and subscribe for more MX Bikes content. And yeah. Okay, so I think that it's about time to try out the Triumph. Had enough of this bike. Does seem pretty cool though. It rides pretty nice. So let's try out the Triumph. Okay, so now we got out the Triumph, and this bike's pretty cool. I really do love like the graphics on it and the plastics. It's kind of got a dark gray plastics, and the front end is pretty cool. But yeah, we're just gonna rip this thing around, see how it jumps, see what it does. And yeah, so far, I mean, I haven't ridden it much. I just started riding it, but it's feeling pretty similar to the other bikes. All these bikes really feel very balanced. They were balanced before, but now they're like pretty close to each other. Of course, I'm not the best rider in the game. I only have about 310 hours, so I don't have too much time in the game. But if I was a bit more, you know, better at the game, then I might actually notice some more differences between the bikes. But they are definitely way closer together than the other ones were. Let's see if you can whip this right here. Oh, that one was good. So you can still whip them. Spikes also cornering pretty smooth. I think it's pretty similar to the beta. I really do like these two new bikes. It's kind of bouncing around a bit. But yeah, so this is, as you can see right there, there's kind of a shot of the front number plate. It's pretty cool. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of new bikes, and or no, a whole bunch of new features and stuff, and there's a few new bikes. So I think this is a great update. I'm gonna see if I can make this jump up here. I've been struggling with the new OEMs. Ugh, just kind of cased it there. I don't know, the power on these are just making it so like it's harder to make these jumps, because I'm not sure if I should be in third or second. Of course, this one's also in race mode, and I do find a decent difference between stock and race mode. So like race mode, it's like, I don't know, it's definitely got a bit more power. Yeah, they definitely seem way different power wise. And the KTM, that bike is pretty great. You know, it used to be like, you know, it used to be one of the top bikes, so I feel like that's gonna change now because of the bikes being balanced out. It should be pretty similar power to the rest of them, so you can actually ride whichever bike you want instead of riding the best bike. So yeah, I really do like that. Let's just go see if we can make that jump again though, because I don't know why I was failing that. Okay, we're gonna see if we can make this third gear, pinning it. Oh, we got this. Yep. So that one I can normally make in second with the other 450s, or with the old 450s. So I do think that, you know, it's a bit different. And I think all of the 450s were supposed to be getting slower, and they were supposed to be slower in the old update. The old, like the last update, they were supposed to be slower than the previous ones, and they definitely were. But they might have actually made them even slower yet, because it does feel a bit, you know, slow right now. But if you do want to see which track you should be riding on, the best free track in the game, then make sure to click right here on this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.